More than 3/4 of the honey sold in U.S. grocery stores isn't exactly what the bees produce, according to testing done exclusively for Food Safety News. The results show that the pollen frequently has been filtered out of products labeled honey. The removal of these microscopic particles from deep within a flower would make the nectar flunk the quality standards set by most of the world's food safety agencies. The food safety divisions of the World Health Organization, the European Commission and dozens of others also have ruled that without pollen there is no way to determine whether the honey came from legitimate and safe sources. As the Supreme Court gets ready to hear oral arguments in a case Tuesday that could determine if authorities can track U.S. citizens with GPS vehicle trackers without a warrant, a young man in California has come forward to Wired to reveal that he found not one but two different devices on his vehicle recently. Last week's oil industry conference at the Hyatt Regency Hotel in Houston was supposed to be an industry confab just like any other, a series of panel discussions, light refreshments and an exchange of ideas with a gathering of so-called professionals to discuss media and stakeholder relations in the hydraulic fracturing industry, companies using the often controversial oil and gas extraction technique known as fracking. But CNBC reports explosive audio evidence that executives are using unconscionable tactics on their opposition. One presenter can be heard recommending that his colleagues download a copy of the Army and Marine Corps Counterinsurgency Manual. That's because, he said, the opposition facing the industry is an insurgency. Another told attendees, on record, that his company has several former military psychological operations, or PSYOP specialists on staff, applying their skills in Pennsylvania. We are living through a time of great awakening. The people of our world are beginning to open their eyes and realize the stunning depth of the scams and collusion taking place all around them. These scams that steal their wealth, poison them with chemicals, enslave them with financial trickery and control their minds with propaganda. These scams are the very fabric of modern government, the mainstream media, universities and so-called science institutions. Here are 11 of those scams that you probably never would have believed just 2-3 years ago. But now you probably realize these are true. The second on the list of 11 reads that the fluoride that's dripped into municipal water supplies is actually a highly toxic industrial chemical byproduct. And number 9. Natural foods and cereals are routinely made with genetically modified ingredients, and the list goes on of peer-reviewed, fact-based answers waiting for you to discover their stark reality for yourself. It is reported that upward of 650,000 customers moved $4.5 billion out of the big banks and into smaller banks and credit unions in the last month. Even though the government may keep throwing money at the dinosaurs, the Basel regulations do have some capital requirements, and so the big banks need to bring in some actual deposits to fund their casino gambling. Moreover, if too many depositors leave, the illusion that the big banks are serving the American public will be burst, and a critical mass of consciousness will occur, so that the banks' unquestioned control over the American political and financial systems will start to be questioned. So moving our money is an effective step towards reclaiming America. A massive storm that battered Alaska's western coast with hurricane-strength winds and towering sea surges has passed out of the region in a much weaker state, but it left behind damage. The strongest storm to hit the state's western coast in almost 4 decades also left behind tales of human endurance. Stephen King has a pretty good idea of what's scary, and the author is telling residents of his home state of Maine that freezing is one of them. That's why the writer is raising money to help low-income residents with their heat bills this winter. In the esoteric land of the elite, the pyramids are a great big symbol, and much more. However, the Associated Press reports that Egypt's Antiquities Authority closed the largest of the Giza pyramids Friday following rumors that groups would try to hold spiritual ceremonies on the site at 11:11 a.m. on November 11, 2011. The authority's head Mustafa Amin said in a statement Friday that the Pyramid of Khufu, also known as Cheops, would be closed to visitors until Saturday morning for, quote, necessary maintenance, unquote. Was it perhaps closed for just this reason? I mean, called all reports of planned ceremonies at the site completely lacking in truth. The country's top cabinet secretary, Francisco Blake Mora, a key figure in Mexico's battle with drug cartels, died Friday in a helicopter crash that President Felipe Calderón said was probably an accident. Yeah, probably not. The U.S. nuclear regulator on Friday approved the restart of the Virginia plant rocked by summer's historic East Coast earthquake. The Nuclear Regulatory Commission said that after careful analysis it had determined it was safe to resume operations at Dominion's 1,806-megawatt North Anna plant. Up to 5 gunmen identifying themselves as members of a branch of the outlawed Kurdistan Workers' Party PKK have hijacked a ferry off the coast of the western Turkish city of Izmit with 19 people on board. Binali Yildirim, the Turkish transport minister, told NTV television on Friday that one of the hijackers is in the captain's cabin and is claiming to be carrying a bomb. They have not yet made any demands. Tropical storm Sean advisory from the National Hurricane Center says Sean is expected to become post-tropical by tonight, the evening of November 11, 2011. Heavy mud flows threaten villages near Mount Merapi. The arrival of the rainy season has triggered the time bomb experts have long feared. Volcanic mud flows comprised of millions of tons of ash and debris blanketing Merapi's slopes. Walmart tries new tech will eye on consumers. Walmart could start letting shoppers buy products in the aisles and skip the checkout line, but the world's largest retailer needs to find out how that would improve the customer experience, the company's e-commerce chief said Thursday. U.S. companies have been hiring workers from India for years, especially graduates of U.S. universities. But Indian companies, as well as American firms operating in India, are now trying to convince some of them to return to India. A job fair at the San Jose Convention Center this weekend is focused on helping companies recruit Indian workers who may enter the U.S. on a visa by informing them about the professional and economic opportunities back home. Mobile app helps clean up your Facebook image. Something tells us you can't purge them forever, but exfoliate is said to let you purge batches of items you have posted to Facebook. A reported fire on a freight train has caused delays on the CTA's Red Line near 63rd Street in the Englewood neighborhood in Chicago, officials said. On the afternoon of Veterans Day, while most government workers were enjoying a day off, the White House sent a batch of documents to the House Energy and Commerce Committee in answer to the subpoena that House Republicans slapped on the administration about the West Wing's involvement in Solyndra and the $535 million loan guarantee that Obama's Energy Department awarded the now-bankrupt solar energy firm in September 2009. The long-vacant Gordon Plaza of Louisiana, which pre-Hurricane Katrina provided housing for retirees, caught fire Friday even though the gutted complex is not connected to any utilities, said Jonathan Pajot, a New Orleans Fire Department spokesman. He estimated 25 of the complex's 128 units were damaged by water, smoke or fire. High surf and heavy winds are expected to accompany a rainstorm that is moving into the Southern California region Friday evening. The National Weather Service issued a high surf advisory for local beaches, with waves of 10 to 12 feet or more expected. Gusty southerly winds will accompany the storm, said meteorologist Kurt Kaplan. The showers are expected to continue throughout Saturday, generating up to 3/4 of an inch of rain. The region should be clear by Sunday, Kaplan said. Debris the size of California is headed for the U.S. coast. The materials were swept out to sea after a massive earthquake and a tsunami hit Japan last March. A local oceanographer says while the bulk of the debris will take several years to arrive, items that float could hit the Washington shore any day now. EMI Group Limited, home of the Beatles, Coldplay and Katy Perry, is being sold in two parts for $4.1 billion after Universal Music Group said it has agreed to buy the recording division of EMI for $1.9 billion. Sony/ATV has reached a deal to buy the second part, the publishing division in charge of songwriting copyrights, for $2.2 billion, according to a person familiar with the matter. The deal leaves Citigroup, EMI's owner, with liability for a pension plan worth about $600 million, a second person said. Both people were not authorized to speak publicly and spoke on condition of anonymity. Baltimore has seen a string of recent robberies involving thieves who used fake badges and other props, anything to convey an aura of police authority, to lull victims into cooperating, if only initially. The scheme is not new, but several such robberies and home invasions have garnered publicity in recent months and raised concerns about a blurring of the thin blue line. Natural gas service has been restored to almost all customers affected by the gas main break Monday in Locust Point, Baltimore Gas and Electric Company said Thursday, which was disrupted Monday after what is reported that a bridge contractor accidentally broke a 12-inch gas main in the 1200 block of East Ford Avenue. Every last one of the 200 Occupy Oakland eviction notices handed out earlier were apparently destroyed by angry campers, reads the Oakland Tribune. See you in 2013, folks, for sure. But now, even NASA is coming out to say the same. With preacher Harold Camping's prophecies earlier this year, and the Mayan calendar's prediction about the end of the world next year, doomsday seems a hot topic these days. But now, a press release from NASA's Goddard Space Flight Center is trying to go about assuring what they call a worried public that a gigantic, killer solar flare won't destroy the Earth in 2012. Update: Turkish security forces have shot dead a hijacker who seized a ferry off the coast east of Istanbul on Friday. Anti-terrorist commandos stormed the vessel at dawn and shot the lone hijacker dead. All 24 passengers and crew are safe after being held hostage for 12 hours, officials say. Over the past 2 years, economic crisis has hit Greece, Ireland, Portugal, and Spain. This time the country in the firing line is Italy, the third largest economy in the Eurozone. It may now need a bailout, but its debts are more than those of Greece, Ireland, Portugal and Spain combined, a total of a staggering $2.6 trillion. If Italy needs a bailout, where is the money going to come from? Venezuelan security forces rescued kidnapped Major League Baseball player Wilson Ramos on Friday, 2 days after he was allegedly abducted in a case that underlined the country's dire security problems. The 24-year-old catcher for the Washington Nationals was apparently abducted by armed men on Wednesday evening while he chatted with friends and relatives outside his mother's home in the Venezuelan city of Valencia. Hundreds of protesters in Cambodia fear that within 6 months to a year illegal logging and government corruption could lead to the clearing of an entire forest of trees. Protesters near the Prelang forest, angry at the economic toll illegal logging is taking on their communities, have started to set fire to illegally cut logs as a symbol of the damage being done to the last remaining primeval forest in Indochina. A gun, possibly an AK-47, was recovered Friday night after reports of gunfire and a chase near the White House. The story goes that at least one person is still at large after the reports of gunfire at about 9:30 p.m. within earshot of Secret Service. Interestingly, Constitution Avenue was shut down at 15th, 17th and 23rd Streets. 2 cars were seen leaving from the area. Police lost sight of one vehicle but they caught up with a possibly stolen Honda sedan near the Roosevelt Bridge. The gun was found inside. Police are looking for bullet holes and casings and haven't confirmed that shots were actually fired. No one found in these areas locked down,